What's up, fam? It's Nick here, RevGens. I'm going to go over a really simple thing for all my salespeople out there. This is really simple. I'm going to go over what a sales pitch is and how to develop a sales pitch. This is not going to be a super long video. It could be an in-depth video on each topic, but I'm really going to break it down into less than 10 steps. The reason I have less than 10 steps is because some folks will require a little more, some folks will require a little less. The basics will remain the same. Number one, every time you enter a home or you enter a call, you're going to introduce yourself. Hey, this is Nick with the Aging Benefits Advisory, or if you knock on their door, doesn't matter. Same intro, it's just I'm either in person or over the phone. Introduce yourself. Introduce the reason why you're there. That will always start with 99% of the time. You sent in a lead piece. You filled out your information on Facebook. You requested information. Something that they did to raise their hand and say, I want information on XYZ, period. You made an appointment for an estimate. We're here to look at your, whatever. We're here to look at your house. You're here to look at your gutter. We're here to look at your refrigerator. Doesn't matter what it is, state why you're there. After that, you're going to build some rapport. It takes 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes as much as 10 minutes. You're going to build rapport throughout the pitch if you're smart, but you don't want it to be its own section that eats up 30 minutes because that's going to kill your timeline in the home. So after you've done that, after you've introduced yourself, you found some commonality, I normally like to make a little joke, or when people ask me my last name, I'm like, yeah, I'm Nick Vanilla, kind of like Strawberry, but I'm also not an 80s rapper. I'm not Ice Baby. People laugh at that. They get the reference because they were alive during the 80s, because we sell to the senior market. They were much younger, but they get it. So after you've done that, you've hit step 1, you've hit step 2. You've introed, you've stated why you were there. When you do the statement of why you're there, I normally throw in, we'll get that taken care of for you, or we can fix that. That states that you have a solution to whatever they're looking for. Step number 3, we're going to get back to building rapport. That is going to come up multiple times. Step 3 is kind of an interchangeable. You want it to come up a bunch, but only in little snips, little shots, like little shocks. You know what I mean? Number 4, assess the situation, meaning assess whatever they got going on. So whether you're looking at their house, their refrigerator, their car, whatever you're looking at. For me, insurance, we're going to do a financial inventory and a little health questionnaire. Really simple. As I'm doing that, though, I'm throwing in those rapport questions. Like I just did a final expense report, for someone, and they were like, yeah, I just quit smoking like 7 months ago. And I was like, that's awesome. My dad just quit, 2 years ago. It was really hard. Did you take any prescriptions for that? And they're like, oh yeah, I took Chantix. It's like, okay, great. You write it down. Didn't it work really well? It kind of made my dad a little irritable, but it was awesome. Now they feel similarity to me. I'm throwing in rapport as I'm doing the questions. Number 5, you always want to trial close them. As soon as you have assessed the situation, you have an idea of what they want, you want to do a mild trial close. Mild trial close. So it doesn't matter what you sell, but I always like to say like XYZ, whatever the product is, if we could get that fixed for you, wouldn't that be great? Well, yeah, it would be awesome. I didn't put any price with it. I didn't say that. I simply said, would it be great if we could fix whatever the issue or assessment's going on? And that could be anything like, man, your refrigerator doesn't make ice. Wouldn't it be cool if we could fix that? Or we could get it to? Get one that would? Well, yeah, that would be awesome. That's the first trial close. That means they're into the idea of having whatever it is fixed. Number 6. Number 6 is where you're going to go through the options that are available to the people. So when I say the options, once you have assessed the situation, no matter what it is, you have an idea in your mind, if you're a semi-decent salesperson, what options are available to them. So number 6, options. So for example, in insurance, final expense, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you have COPD, you have diabetes, we're going to probably look at a couple of different companies, but the main ones we want are guaranteed issue because your health conditions are really tough to insure. I already know what companies I'm going to be looking at. So then price conditioning comes in. Now, price conditioning is kind of like rapport building. That should have happened, really right around number 3 as well. You can mix them in But this is the big one. This is where you actually price condition them. Doesn't matter what it is. So for like what I sell, I normally say, wow, a funeral is going to cost you anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. Not to mention if you had any medical bills, you might have $5,000 to $10,000 of extra medical bills. What type of insurances do you have? And then they're going to show me whatever insurances they have, and I'll know oh, this insurance costs you X amount of money, or it covers this, or has a deductible. And I might say, very simply, if you have diabetes, you go to the hospital, you're probably going to spend this amount of money. And if God forbid you don't make it, well, now your wife's dropping down to one income, your mortgage payment's going to be the same. What is that? They're telling me the mortgage payment. And you're going to have medical bills. Well, that could be a big expense for someone on one income on Social Security. I've done price condition the hell out of them. Be like, oh yeah, your $200,000 house. Just look for reasons to say bigger numbers than what the price is going to be. You want to condition their mind to expect this to be really expensive, so that when you come up with a number, it actually seems really cheap and affordable. So for example, if I was selling a home improvement, the entire pitch, doesn't matter what the home improvement is, you would think it's double what it's supposed to be. So for example, if it was supposed to be $5,000, that whole pitch, I am pumping you with, this could be between $8,000 to $12,000. This could be $9,000. I've done jobs that are $10,000. I've done jobs that are $7,500. I've done a lot of big jobs, in this area with houses like yours, with people like you. Does that make sense? Does that sound real? Doesn't matter what they say there. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put that impression on them. So when I sell final expense, I'm going to say, oh man, that could be very expensive. I had someone who had diabetes earlier in the year. They were a little older than you, but not a whole lot. And I think their condition was probably the same, maybe worse. Yeah, it probably was worse. Mr. Ron was, in bad shape. His insurance was like $200 a month, but he really wanted to, make sure his family was okay. Does that make sense to you? Well, all they heard is $200 a month, and if they say that's okay, you're all green lights. That's another trial close. If they say, oh my God, that's way too expensive, well then first of all, you got to ask them what they can afford. Because if they say I want to spend $30 a month and I want $20,000, well, you got to say that's not reasonable. You have diabetes and COPD, you're not going to get insurance. It's not going to happen. It saves you time right then and there. So once you go through that price conditioning, again, you want to always repeat certain steps. Always repeat rapport. Always repeat trial closing. Always repeat price conditioning. The options themselves don't really matter. Those three are the most. They should come up at least twice. Now on to number 8. Number 8 is what I always call the presentation of price, or revealing the options and the research that we've just figured out. So how you want to do that is you always want to write on a piece of paper, you want to write down the total. So 6,000, 7,000, 10,000. And I would ask them, in final expense, I'd be like, have you thought about more insurance? Have you thought about less? Would you consider more or less? Most people are going to pick the middle option, but you want to put 3 prices, 3 options. I normally recommend putting 2 if you sell home improvements, a grade A and a grade B. You don't want a grade 3 unless you have to go there. But with insurance, you want to give them 3 options. So we'll say this one's 100, this one's 120, this one's 150. So I make it look like this. I'm going to actually fold this paper so you can see it. I've written them down, so I don't know if you can see it. Here's the numbers. I'm going to get to number 8. This is the price presentation. Here is the prices, the amount of insurance, and these are just the generic numbers. So I'd be like, oh yeah, Miss Betty, so really awesome news for you. You can get $6,000 for $100 a month, $8,000 for $125, or really super deal, you could get, $10,000 for $150. Doesn't matter if it's an actual deal. Don't take what I'm saying literally. 99% of the time, Miss Betty's going to go, oh, I know XYZ, blah, blah. I'm going to go right in the middle, because that's where they think they are. They're average and normal. Perfect. Okay, Miss Betty, that sounds awesome. And I always say, are you sure? Would you want a little less insurance? I don't want to take, the cheese out of your macaroni. I don't want to take the bologna out of your sandwich. Is that okay? And then she's going to say, oh my God, that's great, Nick. Perfect. Okay, no problem. So what we're going to do, Miss Betty, is then we're going to submit. We're going to submit the app. Now, there's going to be pushback there. That's where you're going to get it's too expensive. I can't afford it. If they go down that road, You've already stopped that earlier when you said, well, remember I said, the average person's $200. And you said that was fine. Did you not hear what I said there? Do you think you're not average? Okay, perfect. Well, what did you want to spend? And again, brings you right back. Well, what did you want to spend? What can you afford to do? And if they say, well, I can't afford this at all, then I say, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because, I said that earlier. These range from $100 to $150, $200. Did you want to be less than that? Were you thinking more in the $50, $70 range? And then if they say anything other than, well, I can't afford that either, I would say, ma'am, or sir, whoever it is, you really can't get a policy for less than that amount of money because of your health conditions. And then I would say, I'd go right into, another policy, like a Colonial Penn or some other BS where you're just like, oh, they get it for $9. That's not a real thing. And break that down for them so they understand you can't get insurance for $9 when you're 60 plus years old, have diabetes and all these conditions. You're not going to get approved. And that's why you always say, I'm going to submit the app so that it will get approved, because you normally have to wait to get approval if it's not instant. And then from there, I'm going to finish this video. It's getting a little long. But from there, I'm going to, after I've submitted the app, I'm going to do my post-close. I'm going to pull them through the ether. I'm going to give them the list of things. I'm going to tell them how great. I'm going to congratulate them. Congratulations. It's a great thing you're doing. Absolutely wonderful for your family. It's great that you're working with me. I'm a broker. I look at all these different companies so you don't have to shop for them. Like I said before, this is the best value for your dollar. And then, I follow up with them. I call them, text them, whatever. So that's kind of the basics, the 9-step program. And there's extra steps you can do, and I'll go into this for different products. There's more demonstrations and things. But keeping it simple is the fastest way to get through this process and not have a bunch of objections pop up. Because the more things you throw at them, the more things they can throw back. So get out there and sell something.